Hello! Today's stories come from r/entitled people. We have 4 stories today, so let's jump right in. First up, while the baby sleeps. The baby was 6 weeks old. Newborns are incredibly hard work. She slept in 20-minute increments around the clock. I was utterly exhausted. My husband helped as much as he could, poor man, but he worked long hours on his little sleep. We had no family in the area and no money. We managed somehow, as new parents everywhere do. Sometimes I think the only reason the human race continues is because the kids are so cute. Mind you, the cuteness does wear kind of thin sometimes. Cue wannabe chairwoman, a lady who is scheming to take over a large local social organization. I'm sure you all know the pattern. Pick or invent a problem, present yourself as the solution to the problem, jump up and down screaming that the problem will only go away if you're allowed to replace the current leader, and insist that anyone who disagrees is a villain of deepest dye. You'll see it all in the next elections. She has surrounded herself with a crowd of fawning yes folks who buy all this. They are anxious to stay in her good graces, hoping to rise in the organization if she succeeds in taking over. Maybe they are afraid of being a villain of deepest dye. She has grown used to them agreeing with her every word. My husband and I had some skills they valued. We were moderately active in the group, happy to help out if they asked nicely, but we remained militantly indifferent to its politics. We had many other interests and, oh yeah, a new baby. So I'm using my last remaining brain cell to fold laundry. The phone rings. Luckily, the baby was already awake, or I might have blown a police whistle into the phone and hung up. It's wannabe chairwoman, just full of bounce and cheer. Hey, new mom, I'm giving a party for mutual acquaintance you barely know. I know you bake. I want you to make French bread for the party. 24 loaves should be enough. You can drop it off at time and place. I said blearily, you know I just had a baby. Oh, you can do it while the baby sleeps. Yes, dear Redditors, you are perfectly correct in your assumption. Wannabe chairwoman has never had any exposure to kids. Probably sprang from under a cabbage leaf, full grown and formally attired, and started bossing the farmer around. So I sit for a moment, numbly adjusting to the fact that wannabe chairwoman is demanding I donate free ingredients and unpaid labor for a bash I'm not invited to, and would not care to attend if I were invited. All while the baby sleeps. She has no notion of the effort and cost involved in either baking or babies. She also has mistaken me for somebody who will take orders from her. Ah, political maneuvers. If I bake for her party, she'll tell everybody we're on her side of her personal war. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. Disengage. Maintain armed neutrality. No, sorry, impossible. Gotta go, baby crying. Click. No regrets whatsoever. Oh my gosh, baby or not, 24 loaves is a lot of time and effort. OP obviously didn't want to get involved anyway, but I just have to say it. What is with people? I mean, when is a demand ever the right way to ask for help? Jeez. Let's check out some of the best comments. Cookie Mom, 24 loaves, not just entitled, but delusional. Phantom Allure said, that felt good for me, and I didn't even get to hang up on her. Good on you. Someone else replied, unfortunately, hanging up on people nowadays isn't as satisfying as it used to be. Pushing a silent button as opposed to slamming down a landline. Curiously, Caddy added, I so miss hanging up violently. Someone else shared, a friend told his pastor that I'm a cook and offered up my services for church functions without asking me first. I found out when I got a call for a dozen cheesecakes for a church function. They wanted 3 plain, 3 French vanilla, 3 strawberry, and 3 chocolate. Tallied it up and gave the price. They acted surprised because my friend had offered that I would donate for major functions. He's not a friend anymore. OP replied, yeah, can't tell you how many times I've been voluntold by someone to knit, bake, set up a spreadsheet, or host a party for someone else. Can tell you that each instance has been refused. And folks coming around to ask why I haven't done X and getting all flustered when they hear, first I've heard of it, not playing this game, not my problem in any way, go collect from whomever tried to set me up. But I am a bad person, you see, and do not tolerate this sort of high-handed disposal of my time and skills. Can't be guilted into it either. Our second story is, just got a customer complaint that I look too miserable. I am on my phone in the break room writing this, so I apologize for any format errors. I'm 17 and work at a movie theater. With Jurassic Park and Top Gun 2 being out, it hasn't been the best. Not to mention, working with my ex doesn't really make it the best job in the world. I was working the stand and a customer came up and I said, with a smile, "Hi, what can I get for you?" She ordered. As she was paying, she says, "You look like you hate your job." And I said, "Meh, could be better." She looked taken back a bit. I handed her her order number and then she walked off. As I'm helping the next customer, I see her in the corner of my eye talking to my manager. A million thoughts just rushed in my head at this moment. I honestly don't know what I did. About 10 minutes after this, my supervisor comes up to me and says, "Manager wants to see you at the bar." Saw this coming. I go up to him and he takes me in the office. "Snail, I gotta be real with you here. I only took you in here because she's been watching me since she complained to me. You're not in trouble. I just want her to get off my back." I couldn't stop laughing. Turns out she said that I look miserable. And when my manager asked what I did, she said, "Nothing. She just looks miserable." And my manager was like, "Okay, what the F do you want me to do about this?" And she said she'd be emailing home office. He brought the GM in the office once I came in, and the GM also started laughing. He said he'll let home office know what happened, even though nothing did happen, and we laughed about it because she was absolutely crazy. They kept me in there for another 10 minutes, then sent me on my way. When I came out, she was still by the bathroom, next to the office, just watching the door to the office. I didn't even look at her. I just went back to the kitchen. Oh my gosh, I can't even with this. People have bad days, and some people, the horror, aren't always smiling. I think it's great that OP's manager and GM are evidently reasonable people, but everyone isn't so lucky, and the fact that they placated this woman kind of irritates me. I wish they had told her to pound sand, while smiling, of course. Let's check out the comments properly excoriating this entitled customer. WDJM said, "She decided you look like you hate your job, so she tried to make the job even worse?" Someone replied, "What the F is wrong with people? How hateful do you have to be to do this?" Heading that way said, "When I worked as a barista, sometimes I would mess with people like this, especially if they made a comment about my work performance. I would scowl and mumble my way through their order, and as soon as I turned away from them, I would become the cutest, chattiest, smiling, jokey barista to the next people in line, just leaving them to wonder about themselves." Daylily61 said, "The woman was trying to provoke a scene so that she could use it as an excuse for getting some kind of freebies. Or maybe she just wanted to make trouble for someone. There are people who deliberately go into stores, restaurants, etc., specifically and deliberately to bully someone who is not in a position to fight back. Having worked with the public in various capacities over the years, I know that all too well. I'm glad this woman didn't get away with it. Your post immediately reminded me of the time when I was a cashier at a department store in Northern Virginia. I witnessed a customer berating another cashier because she wasn't smiling. Because she wasn't smiling. That was it. She had done nothing wrong, but he chewed her out because of that particular moment she did not happen to be smiling. Our third story is short but packs a punchy ending. Old lady yells at me for not doing the thing I'm doing. I am at the hospital very frequently. I also crochet stuffed animals, amigurumi. I am usually stuck sitting at the hospital for hours waiting for my appointment or my ride home. Today was fairly nice, so while waiting for my ride, I was crocheting. An old woman was walking along the long walkway to get into the hospital. She stopped to wait for her slow moving husband. I didn't look at her or say hi or even really acknowledge her. I hear her say, "Know what's wrong with your generation?" Now I'm Gen X, so I'm almost 50. Also, most Gen Xers ran out of Fs to give when we were like 10, so I looked up and said, "Oh, I don't know. Probably a lot, but I'm sure you're going to tell me." Old lady goes, "Your generation and all the ones after you don't know how to do stuff like that anymore." She motioned to my crochet that was in my hands, currently being worked on. I said, "This? This thing I'm doing right now? We don't know how?" She said, "Yes, when I was young, I could make blankets for my babies and hats and all kinds of stuff, and all that is lost on all of you. None of you know how to do anything like that." I said, "I'm actually doing the thing right now. I have been crocheting since I was a kid." Finally, her husband caught up and said, "Are you being a cow again?" And they walked away. I'm still so confused. I guess I got yelled at for not doing the thing I was doing. I love crocheting. Just a thought, maybe the old bat didn't like that the skill was being applied to something fun and cute. I do find that some folks are of the mind that if a creative product doesn't serve a utility, it's kind of a waste of time. Anywho, let's check out the comments. MN Concerto said, I love the husband calling her out. Stay strong, fellow Gen Xer. Someone else said, but you weren't doing the type of crocheting she wanted you to do. Hats and baby clothes. Your crocheting isn't real crocheting. Also, Gen Xer, I don't think I can list all my projects. OP replied, that's the same thing my mom said. Our fourth story is also short, but got a giggle out of me. Fix my flat. Once, when I was about 17 or so, I worked at a service station. We even did work out on the drive. Add oil, change belts, and plug flat tires. Up rolls a fancy caddy with a fancy couple, probably on their way to a musical or something downtown. Can you fix my flat? Sure, 1 second. My buddy grabs tools and a repair plug and gets right on it. That'll be $5. What? I'm not going to pay that much. This was like 73 or so. It took you only about 2 minutes to do that. I'm not paying. My buddy reached down with his pliers and pulled out the plug. Now, if you've never plugged a tire, you need to use a kind of ream tool to make the hole roughed up and big enough for the plug. The tire went flat in about 5 seconds. That's when his wife started yelling at him. Boss man relented and said, okay, just fix the tire. Buddy put in a new plug and said with a smile, that'll be $10. Boss man lost it again, only to be having wife laying into him. Shut up, we're late. He did end up paying. Man, was that glorious. How good was that? Oh my gosh, super funny. Let's check out the comments before we wrap up. White Wolf Dreamer said, I love that he chose to roll up to a service station where you literally pay for service, then complained about having to pay for the service provided. That's like rocking up to a McDonald's and asking for an order of fries, then complaining about having to pay for it. OP replied, well, to be fair, $5 for 2 minutes was like $30 per hour. In the 70s, that was astronomical. Still worth it, but it shocked a lot of people. DevCat OTA shared, there is an old silent movie clip of something similar. A lady pulls into a station complaining her Model T won't run properly. The mechanic opens the hood, looks around, and goes back into the garage. He comes out a moment later with a comically large sledgehammer, rears back and lets swing, coming down on one precise point on the engine. The lady starts the car and it runs perfectly. She asks how much. $100, he says. What? That's far too much. You only hit it with a hammer, she replies. He answers, it was $1 for the strike, but $99 for knowing where. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.